So they looked ahead, and they said, we will make these things later. We will make all these different things. So they said, we're going to make Wainabuju different. We're not going to make him 100% God. We're going to make him what we're going to make, the last thing we're going to make. That is the Anishinaabe, the human beings on this Turtles Island, which I'll talk about. So he is half human and half top God, with the cedar tree on his head. So then, well, what are we going to do now? And they said, he will look ahead at what he's making and he will bring them with him. So he took a canoe. And as he went out, he said, we must get old Earth back. We have to get it back to get the new one. The flood was still there. So he had a loon, a beaver, a turtle, an otter, different things. Each one said, I will go down and get it. They went down and could not get it. Could not get it. So he said, I cannot offer you tobacco. This is what will be built again on earth, but we have none now. You must on your own. The otter tried. The turtle tried. None could get it. The loon. Then one said, I will. That was Wajashk, the muskrat. They laughed at her. She went down and she died. A day or two later, far away, Wainabuju in his canoe saw something floating. It was Wajashk. He picked her up. He blew on her, and she came back more to life. He looked at all of the hands, found nothing, and the last one he opened it was earth mud. He then blew on it, and it started growing. Gebe Noden, Everwin, Kagige, Bimadasiwin, he put into the earth for them. It got bigger and bigger in making because of all this water. He had to make more and more. He said, I have a problem. The earth will not turn. It's not working. What should I do? And Mikanak, the turtle, said, put it on my back. We'll form it better. That's why it's called the Great Turtle Island. Very few know these stories. So he did. So the earth was going. Oh, good, they said, we are now done. No, they said, it will not work this way. The heat is not turning on here or anything correct. The sun does not go around the earth goes around the sun. But it has to be turning and moving. So then he said, I will try with my Ingun, the wolf. He can turn it. Are you going to use your brother? I can't. He's still down there. After the great battle, I could not bring him back to life. They have his hide. He's still there. I hate them. I will not talk to them. I hate them. So he got a wolf from this new world. And the wolf runs around the earth. And they say the earth will not continue to live if there's not a wolf left on earth. And in the end of time, the earth will burn. Complete heat like some of the planets. Because the water said, without us, without things of life, it will burn, the dryness. They said, we all have to get along together. But Wainabuju said, no, I do not trust you from the water. I never will. You killed my brother. So then, He then had the earth. He thanked Wajashk the muskrat. So then as the earth went growing of the trees, the land, the things, the Chamanitog, the gods said, we must make things. So then they made from the water in their own life, which we don't even understand, because we're merely humans. He made the fish, kikoig. He made them in their own life, what they will feed on, how they will get along. They don't all get along. So then, after that, he then made the birds. And the birds shall go on the trees. The birds do a lot of things today. They give us food. The birds bring and drop things that are good. Maybe today, the way the earth is, some that are bad. So he made all these things. So he made the fish, the birds, then they made the animals. Wenabuja was involved in the making of all of these. He had a Shkabewas, a helper, a powerful money do, but he had always one above him, because he was half human and not with the top gods. So then, he was always with his grandmother, Nokomisanan, our grandmother, the Kimanan of the earth. The sun has to give us the warmth. The moon, Nokomisanan, she is in charge of the time. All of these things. So then, he had made all of these, the animals, the things. So then there are many, many stories that are in the secret societies. But what happened was they finally had meetings between the four worlds below and above. Nobody knows where that meeting took place. He sent one from the water and the earth, could live in all. That went up and told Wenabujo that there would be a meeting to stop this war, and that things will be given and his brother will be given back. He said, no, get out of here. I don't believe you. So then they sent a cousin of his up, the otter. And Nagik, Ogimana said, no, you must listen to me. No. He says, by the laws of our relations, you cannot be this way to me. He said, they will give you your brother back. So he said, okay. So he went down with the thunders and he said, quit the thundering. We must go to the meeting. He said, what are you going to do? And they said, we'll show you something. And so they did some things. And when they did that, they showed their powers, what they can do. And together with you, we are going to make something. And the gods knew this before Wenabuju in this earth. They made him half Anishinaabe. They said, we can see it with you. You're half of what we're going to make. So they took mud from the earth. It's told different all over, but they made, in some places it said they first made a woman. They then later made a man. And they put them together and created hundreds of children at once. Then they said to Wenabujo, he took part in that with them, from below the four worlds and the four above. And then he said, where's my brother? They said, that's what we're going to give you. But first we're going to give you everlasting life. We will show you how to do it. So it was a complete secret that they could give him. So he said, is this what you will give my brother? They said, yes. So they made these humans, and they said they will be made different. They will not live forever. And they said, look how we are making them. So they made them. They made them from the water. They had scales all the way up to their neck. This is how the first humans lived. Then, they lived that way for hundreds of years. That then was taken away from them. They did not know sickness, but it did not work as more and more and more land came, yet there was much of water. So then the God said, what will we do? It's Chamanitug. And they had said at the big meetings to Enabujo, do you want, after they gave him the things of everlasting life, do you want us now to do this to your brother, to bring him back to life? He said, no, it is too late. I will always hate you and fight you. You're 4 worlds below in the water. So then, he found a place for his brother. He was no longer living. He was a Jibai, a ghost, but yet alive. And he is in charge of a great, great job of the Anishinaabe. So then, the fight still to this day goes on. He then, as they made the Anishinaabe, they made them in different ways, and they made them a different group. They were not called Ojibwe, Potawatomi, Cree. They were not called this. They were made a clan, a Dudem. And they made these clans, the Muskrat clan, the Sturgeon clan. At Fond du Lac and all over, the biggest clan is the Awasasi, the bullhead, which came in with another fish clan. Who will guard us? We will make you a clan who will guard you. That's the Bear clan, Mukwa. On the father's side will come the clan. So they made all these different kinds of clans. Are we through? They said, no, someone is coming from another star. And it landed at Bawittigung, one edge of Lake Superior, at the rapids. And it came down. And that Manitou said, I shall be the head of all the clans. That is the Crane clan. They are the highest that can go up high to the gods. Next to them was Mushkuzi, the blue heron. These are all the Eagle clan. People just think Eagle clan is half-breeds. It is not. There's the brown eagle, the red eagle, the war eagle. They are all clans. I have a thing on 32 clans I tell, and some of the stories of them. So these are the clans. Each clan has a creation story. Now, Wainabuju was living all in this Lake Superior area, especially in the Thunder Bay area. Later on, he tries to go up to the great palace, to the great wigwam of the gods. They throw him down. All the religions of the world have stories like this of their own. This is ours, what happened. If you've ever been to Thunder Bay, you see the sleeping giant. It's huge. You can see a person laying down. At night, you can hear him breathing. Wainabuju, in that he's still here with his powers, but he does not have the power he wanted to go back to. But there's a place called Wilmette Canyon, north of Thunder Bay. His daughter married a man, a Manitou, as she was, who was so mean. He beat her up. He turned him into a rock, standing straight up, a huge rock form. It is called Wamet Canyon Provincial Park. You can see that rock all the way up in the ravines they fought down. It's a person. You can see it standing. Wainabushu fought all over. He did all these things. The great otter comes through, which maybe later on in some days I'll talk about. Where did this happen, where he broke through twice? A place called Fond du Lac. It's French for end of the lake. People think that's up here on the reservation. No. It is Gishkwegama Gitchagami at the end of the lake. There was 5 to 7 villages in the heaven down there. The white man moved them out in 1854, but still 10-20% stayed in places there. At Spirit Island, they flooded them. 60 Indians lived on it. These are all the wonderful places. He did all of these things. Up near where he is in Thunder Bay is a rock lion to show what he had fought. There are medicines in these spots that don't grow anywhere. There are all these things. You can hear at night the sleeping giant. So then, the Anishinaabe then started moving around through the years and years. We figure about the 1200s they got to Bawittigung, the Sault Ste. Marie area. This is way back where the head chief of the Manitug clans came down. The Crane clan, the Mushkwasi, Blue Heron clan. They came from the different stars. They came down. And then they moved to the north following the caribou herds, and they moved along the south shore. They were fighting so terrible with other tribes. They called the Nadowewuk and the Abuanug, today called the Sioux. Like humans today, they still fight each other over land. So then, the fighting was so terrible, they got to Muningwanikaning, the Madeline Island. They were there for over 200 years. They could not leave, except in a big group, because of fighting and killing each other. The Fond du Lac Indians tell the stories. In the early 70s, I was with the elders when they told some of these stories. And they came. They were finally able to leave Muningwanikaning, led by an otter. They then came to their heaven. It's called End of the Lake, Fond du Lac, Gishkwegama. This is where later on the biggest trading posts came after the other ones were closed in Grand Portage, Fort William. But these Indians lived in all those areas. It was complete wild rice, sturgeons, fish, the mountains of Misabikong, Duluth, Onigamising. Misabikong was berries. It was a heaven. The other tribes were forced out. They had a big battle in the spring, yet there was snow. They hid in white rabbit blankets and drove them out. There were other battles down there. The Fond du Lac elders told me that they had been passed on to them. They then lived in that area. They then started moving further and further to the west. Did they all come up to this Fond du Lac reservation? No. Very few lived here. Very, very few. Because that was their heavenly place. They would hunt or trap here. When the white man came, Sieur de Luth, Grossier, all of these names, when they came, they had these trading posts, but it died out after a while because people no longer wanted to wear those things. So then, in 1854, they had a treaty. But before that time, the trading people came up to trade. And they went past Fond du Lac, the end of the lake, and they came from the south up the Mississippi to the Crow Wing. Where are these Indians? Later on, Sandy Lake would be the biggest place of the Indians, Leech Lake. So they went over there, and they said, what are they all doing there? They were having Grand Medicine Lodge. There were hundreds from all over there. As they got there, the canoes coming from, there was no Minneapolis or St. Paul, nothing. They came from a trading post way to the south where the Mississippi comes into a lake on the side what's called Wisconsin today. And they had come from a trading post there. It started to rain and the elders did not like that. So then that morning in the sun they put out their canoes, rifles, calico cloth, traps, everything. Towards noon the women came over. The young girls had never seen cloth. They saw calico. They stole it, they ripped it. They pillaged it. They took it and stole it. All of a sudden, guns fired. People screamed, everything. The stuff was taken. They took off back all the way to the south, then to Mackinac Island, the huge, big place. Mackinac Island, which is Mackinagung, speaking of the turtle in the past tense. So they went back. The Indians went back to Nishnabeg. They met at Fond du Lac. And they went back and they set from where this happened. And where this happened is called, a town in Minnesota is called Pillager. All of those Indians of the Leech Lake area and some White Earth are called pillagers on their treaty form. The old Indians would put on their chest, their heart, their fist would say, Nin makandwewanini. That's a pillager, makandwewanini. They would say, Gin gitchagamiwanini. You are a person of Fond du Lac Cures of Lake Superior. Net Lake, Sagan de Gua of the deep forest. Mississippi, those of the Mississippi. Pembina of the Red River. Pembina is part of the word of the Red River. These are all the names of the places years ago. I don't think anybody even knows that kind of stuff anymore. But in the early 70s, I heard the elders would say to one, Gin, Gitchagami Wanini. You are of around the Great Lake. So the pillagers, the Wakandwewaniniwak, they then brought all the furs back to Mackinac Island to them. Oh, they said, that's too much furs you've given us, my God. Here, we give you these beautiful Hudson Bay blankets. So they brought it to Fond du Lac, the end of the lake. They first gave it to those 7 villages. Take these to Sandy Lake, to Leech Lake. Within months, the people started dying. Within weeks, smallpox. That's the first time. The second time it hit Sandy Lake later, in the 1800s, and 60 to 70% died. It is a dispute as to whether or not it was done on purpose in the 1700s, the smallpox, because they said, how would they have gotten their furs? We don't know. But that is what happened. So I'm going to finish up here now with some things, but this is stuff that's never been told. Now, the native people, the clans. This is way back. They were living. These stories we hear, we think, how can that be? We're like a fish, had scales. That is why he left us 20. Fingernails and toenails. Why do we have toenails? They left us to remember where we were from the water. One of the great clans was taken back to the water. He killed too many of his people. He wears a bandage over his eyes. He carries a spear. He spears fish. If he's ever seen, the elders say if he ever appears, don't talk to him, don't look at him. Because Wainabuju and the gods sent him back. These are stories no one knows anymore. And then, Wainabuju always traveled with his dog. Always. Because I went to a place they showed me of his moccasin footprints and his dog. He always had his dog. There's a great time of the Anishinaabe when they got so mad at their grandnephew, their great nephew, Wainabuju. Sometimes he's called great uncle, sometimes great nephew. So they were so mad at him, he had to go up to the dog star. His dog took him to the dog stars, which were not found till 1961. The oldest human in the world are from Egypt. Dark people that went to the west, they are called the Dogon. The Dogon people. They are from, humans could not find those stars till 1961, the dog stars. We knew of that way back where Wainabuju, his dog, took him. These are the old stories. We had all these different clans. Then our people sometimes married in their migrations all over. They went to South America, Central America. They went to Siberia. Not all tribes. They went all over. Some of the tribes in the Southwest came out of the ground, led by the Spider Lady. Some were led by different ones from the water, from everywhere. These are things that people don't know. Then one of the people saw a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful girl. He fell in love with her. They had children. He was always in the water with her. She was a mermaid. That is that clan. That clan is a clan. I do not know of hardly any left that there is. I do in one area. The Deer clan is big in one area. But the mermaid and the merman, this is what they did, that clan. And so then these migrations by the otter, they went all over. They then fought the different tribes north of Grand Marais, Chibita Bigum. They had great, great fights for the flint, called Flint Lake. I knew the elders from there, never went to school a day in their life. They taught me so much. Misqua Biwa Bikung Sagaigan. Flint Lake. They lighted the flint, shot it into the mounds of their enemies. The white man knew about it in Michigan. Places it came from the sky where it hit Sudbury, Ontario. Huge area of flint. At the Flint Lake, the white man made on his guns. Gun flint. The story of the Battle of the Flint Lake is a huge story of the thunders that helped the Ojibwe drive the Abuanag, the Sioux, from it. Grossier, Radisson, Sieur de Luth, all of these. They came to this Fond du Lac, these beautiful, beautiful area of the berries, of the things, everything. They then In 1854, the white man said it took 25 years or 30 years to get them to sign the treaty. They signed the 1826-25 treaty. The Sioux would not completely go in with the Ojibwe for central Minnesota. So then they brought the next meeting up to Fond du Lac, Duluth, the western side. Michigan owned all of it, they thought. So they came up. He wanted to also see where the Mississippi. He was the governor. I can't think of his name right now, but he was the governor who brought that big meeting. Then in the late 30s, they signed another treaty. Fond du Lac was involved. That is why they can fish at Mille Lacs. We'll take a break. I'm almost done.